Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about the 10 Magic Stones Super Godfest that has just gone live in North America. So, generally speaking, a Super Godfest will cost you 10 Magic Stones per roll and will feature at the absolute worst 33% chance for any Godfest exclusive. But lately speaking, most Super Godfests have been at least higher than 33%, so I'm not quite sure what the absolute lowest possible outcome is going to be, but sadly, this Super Godfest is underwhelming. With a 36.5% chance to get any Godfest exclusive, that is nearly as low as we can go, and in all honesty, it really is kind of as low as we can go, because I really haven't seen a 33% chance in quite some time, so maybe this is kind of like the new lowest amount. Like, for myself personally, I only tend to roll in events where the rolling rates are favorable and or it features cards that are desirable. Generally speaking, that often ends up being seasonal Super Godfest, because oftentimes the rolling rates of Godfest exclusives plus seasonal cards tends to be much higher than this, and it gives me the chance of acquiring those seasonal cards. Now, for myself overall, I tend to get most of my seasonal cards from those seasonal Super Godfests, because if I miss, I have a much higher chance of getting something of value, kind of like how I got my 4 Halloween cottons. But regardless of that, I feel like this is definitely an underwhelming Godfest overall, and I don't feel like it is worth actually rolling in. But with that being said, let us, take a look at the Godfest exclusives that were buffed in case you didn't watch my other video. So if you did watch my other video, this is possibly going to be just a repeat of what you saw before, but hey, more of me talking is exciting possibly. So, all of the submarine / watches, so Seawolf, Royal Oak, Nautilus, Daytona, and Blackbird, have received various buffs in their final evolution form, and I believe a couple of buffs to weapon assist, with only Daytona's truly being meaningful. But for Seawolf, they are now a stupendously tanky leader. They actually have 9 times health, 900 times attack, and 9 times recovery. So you can possibly tank hits without, activating your shield. You can just sit there and get hit and you possibly don't die. That's actually quite a big deal overall. And with the much higher attack multiplier, it makes it much easier for all your cards to deal much more meaningful damage. And I feel like with these buffs, as a general statement, it gives these leaders a bit of a better chance of tackling super gravity dungeons, because their attack multipliers from their leader skill are just so much higher compared to what they were before. Otherwise, Seawolf is pretty much non-change aside from just having better numbers, and who doesn't like better numbers? For Royal Oak, they now have double 10 combo as opposed to just a single 10 combo, so their personal damage output is much nicer compared to what it was before. And if I'm not mistaken, their active skill is buffed to be 15% as opposed to 10%. So you generally don't want to stack L's on Royal Oak teams. You want rows, because rows give everyone more damage. So having this attack buff being a little bit higher does increase their damage output when you really think about it quite a bit, because 2 Royal Oaks are going to bring 6 L's, and it is going to be a 30% increase just from the leaders themselves. Maybe you have some L's elsewhere, but point of the matter is the damage output will be higher, especially considering the fact that they have a much higher attack multiplier compared to before, and their health multiplier is now 2.2 as opposed to 2 times. Like I said, bulkier, harder hitting, even more effective health, strong leader overall. Nautilus has now changed quite a bit over the years when I think about it, because when Nautilus first came out, they had no 7 combos, and the fact that all their damage came from either just matching rows, maybe making a VDP, which means you're often not getting the row, was kind of frustrating, because everyone on Nautilus's team would hit hard, but not Nautilus themselves. Thankfully, that has all changed now, because with 3 7 combos, that is 8 times personal damage. And there was a point in time where 8 times personal damage was, quite a big deal. But when you take into consideration the fact that their active skill is 15% for every wood row, and you can stack wood rows into the stratosphere, you have a huge attack buff multiplier, and their leader skill has the same idea as Royal Oak, a better health multiplier, 900 times attack. And remember, everyone on Nautilus teams is already smashing so hard. Now they're going to smash even harder. Nautilus himself is actually going to be doing meaningful damage. If you like Nautilus, you definitely can take them to newer heights, because you're tankier, you do more damage. Just be mindful of the fact that Royal Oak and Nautilus still have no RCV multiplier, so you may want to make sure you bring some sort of healing solution to replenish your hefty health pool. For Daytona, they now have 6 TPAs because they've condensed the TPAs into TPA pluses. They also have another 1 second of movement time. I don't think the movement time is quite that helpful, but you know what? I'll take it, like, why not? More is more. But more so the point is, you have more TPAs, which means their attack multiplier buff is higher, and their leader skill gained more attack damage. You didn't gain any more effective health. Daytona and Blackbird are still the same 11.11 times effective health, which can be a little frustrating because it becomes much harder to actually, team build for dungeons where things are hitting you quite hard. But the fact that they hit harder means subs on their sub attribute can deal much more meaningful damage. So again, this buff is nice, and I've managed to bash myself against UN1 many times and get executed many times with Daytona. Maybe I'll put a collage together of me just dying to brighten up your day. But the point is, you hit quite a bit harder, and I like that overall. And then for their weapon assist, it is improved. It actually gives you 60% poison resist, and the double TPA and bind immunity is pretty sweet overall. And of course, the active skill is monstrous in terms of the attack buff and the 3 turns of haste. Pretty spectacular weapon assist for your TPA-oriented teams. And then finally, for Blackbird, we have just a much larger attack multiplier. And you know what? A bigger attack multiplier is always a nice thing. Everyone will hit harder, but most importantly, the sub-attributes, especially on cards of a dark sub-attribute, will be dealing significantly more damage, which in turn can make it easier to hit any of these damage thresholds. I feel like Blackbird is still a strong choice for MD2, and in MD2, to a certain extent, hitting 40 billion damage can be almost like a soft check for both Daytona and Blackbird, because at 40 billion damage, you are able to potentially overcome many spawns that have, 40 billion health, like, say, Orochi, Eshimali, Paimon. These spawns have 40 billion, and if you can hit that with the sub-attributes being more meaningful, it can make a possible difference. But unfortunately, if Blackbird and Daytona had gained more effective health, I feel like that would have been the best thing for them overall. But regardless of all that, I still think this Godfest is underwhelming, despite the fact that some of these Godfest exclusives were buffed. They're going to be around forever, essentially. You're going to have chances to roll them in the future. My advice is don't roll in this event. But regardless of all that, hopefully all you lovely ladies and gentlemen out there have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.